put your gear on and block some. I'll catch for one of these.
Lessons.
Oh, you hear that?
Do it again. Like that.
Straight.
My name's Aaron Roussel. I'm 36 years old. I was born in upstate New York at Syracuse. I was adopted there at birth and lived there for the majority of my young life. I was introduced to sports then. Eventually I grew a very big passion for basketball, and when we were young we moved to Maryland. So that's when I really fell in love with the game. On through middle school, it's really all I did, eat, sleep, breathe basketball. Was able to play high level through high school and got offered a scholarship to play in college, so I did that for a year. And then I became a parent, so I kind of fell back with basketball and started working, but basketball remained relevant in my life on through adulthood. I was in the best shape of my life at age 30. I was playing in a highly competitive pro amateur league in Wilmington, Delaware, and then I was rocked to my core because I got really sick, developed cancer, and then 3 days later needed a liver transplant. So September of 2015, I had my liver transplant. I was an emergency transplant. I was on the transplant list for 10 hours. They don't know why my liver failed. It just failed. I was in the hospital for 3 months. I went from 210 pounds and being in really good shape to 130 pounds of just skin and bones. It was really hard on myself mentally just because I was scared I was never going to get my sport back. And while in the hospital, the doctors came in and some other young transplant patients spoke with me over the phone. And it's when I found out about the Transplant Games. And the first Transplant Games that year were going to be 5 months after my transplant in Cleveland. But with my transplant, you have to have 6 months prior. So I missed the Cleveland Games, and that kind of set me back mentally. Like I was just ready to give up on sports, essentially. But then I found out about the Spain Games, and the thought of leaving the country scared me. And I've never left America ever. But I knew if I couldn't get back to sport, I would never get out of the deep depression that I was in. So I started training myself to go to Spain, and I was able to go to Spain and compete in basketball, and we won the gold medal for America. But I also was able to compete in other sports, track and field. I think I played tennis there and volleyball, and I won multiple medals. And it really made me realize how lucky I am to have these sports and how much I depended on these sports mentally and physically just to keep myself in a good place. So I did Spain and was successful, and then I went there without my family, and that was hard. But then the next summer they did the games in Salt Lake City, Utah, and through donation I was able to bring my family with me, and it was the first time I was able to play sports in front of my son, and it was the most magical experience of my life. And it kind of made me realize I was content. I didn't need to play basketball anymore because I was able to play at a high level. And not only at a high level, in front of my family. So after Salt Lake City, I thought I was done with sports. After Salt Lake City, I was content with my sports and was able to, get back to focusing on me and my family because I thought I was healthy again. But over a couple months, my health started to fade again. I developed some more issues. I lost feeling in my left leg after shingles and developed drop foot and diabetes. And so I was pretty sick for a while. And then I ended up being put back on the liver transplant list because my transplanted liver was beginning to fail again. I dropped back down from 200 pounds to another 130, and it got pretty bad for a while, to the point where my family thought my days were limited and I was on my way out. But thankfully, through organ donation, they found a donor for me, and I had another liver transplant, and it really relit the fire for me to be competitive again, because I was faced with new challenges. I no longer had control over my left foot and left leg. A lot of people were counting me out, and that added fuel to my fire to where I wanted to compete again in the upcoming Transplant Games in San Diego.
So this is my first transplant scar of 2015 from the University of Maryland. A little ragged, but it was the emergency transplant, so they had to just cut me open quick to get the new liver in. This is my most recent transplant scar from Johns Hopkins in summer of 2020. A little more together, healed a little better. So I think this is probably the worst part of it all, but I think the liver sits right here, so I guess that's why.
Through all my experiences in sports in the Cecil County area, I've kind of realized kids need more. So I came up with the idea of Pops Culture that allows us to provide that more for these kids to get these athletes to the next level. It gives them a place to go that's safe, where they can work out and pursue their sport, no matter what sport that is. and get the tools and the people needed to get them to the next level, so they're not as unprepared as I was when I was a kid. It's everything that I wish I had and my friends had. We're able to supply that to our community. And by doing so, it's lit the fire under me again to get back to the competing. I see how hard these kids work, and I want to show them, even at my older age at 36, and I've completed a lot, I'm not done yet. So it allows me to push further more on what I want to do for myself and show these kids. And not only when I go back to these games, I'm not doing it just representing myself and my family. I'm representing this entire community of Pops culture, which is numerous kids that need someone to look up to, and that I want to be that light for them. While working with so many young athletes, they've inspired me to get myself back into competitive shape. To not only represent my family, Maryland, but also my donor and everyone who's been inspired by my story. To let them know that regardless of your circumstances, it doesn't have to dictate your outcome, and we can all get through whatever we need to together. So I'm reaching out to you all to help me not only grow Pops culture, but also help get me to Transplant Games 2022. Thank you all so much for the continued support over the past 6 years and moving forward, so not only I can reach my goals, but also I can inspire others to help them reach theirs.